It's the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way that things will really go with Sandra. And some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but soon they will realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend of Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra.
My name is Williamson Henson. I'm from Tcht. I just completed my hip surgery and Health City through to National Health Insurance Board. I had a dirt bike accident. I hit really hard. I lost some teeth, some metal in my hands. I had metal on my right hand as well, on my left hand. Glass still remains on my knees, and I broke my socket bone, my hip bone. I broke the whole socket bone. And National Health Insurance Board gave me a call on my birthday. It made me cry, but I tried to hold my composure. It made me cry because I was waiting for 10 months. It was on a Wednesday, my birthday, and they say this Monday coming, you're going to Cayman Island to have a hip replacement surgery.
When Mr. Williamson came to us, he had a 10-month-old fracture which was operated at some other place, where he got a fragmented acetabulum which was into almost 4 to 5 parts, and his hip was out of his place. Also along with that, he had his right leg was shorter than left one by 2.5 inches, and he has a tremendous pain and was not able to walk and stand on that leg as well.
The first surgery affected my lifestyle because certain things I could not do for myself. It was all about crutches.
We removed the implant, cleared all the tissue, we put a new socket for there, and then the hip was replaced. And also we corrected the shortening, which was almost 2.5 inches, which came back to normal.
And he actually told me hip replacements in Cayman Island, you're gonna walk the same few hours. And what made me real happy is he said it and it was done for real. I started walking like literally in 23 hours.
Yeah, it's like a complex primary revision replacement. You can see that where you need to have some implants which are really advanced in the world, which we have at Health City. We have a dual mobility cup, which is a state-of-art, newer type of an implant, which is going to be making your hip absolutely stable, more durable, and has to function absolutely like a normal person.
I'll say a big thank you, first of all, to NIB and Health City caseworker and the host from Health City for communicating and well taking of me behind my back. It was like every time I think about something, they already on it. It was my birthday. I was quite happy because I was waiting on the call to get the surgery done. But I'm happy now it's done. I can walk. I just can't wait to get back to the kids and be like, oh, look at them. Thank you, Health City, for restarting my life with my hip replacement surgery.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. How is everyone doing? It is Friday, August the 7th, and we are rolling right into the weekend. Hope that you guys are having a good week so far. Some of us are weekends on Friday, and then others, we just keep going. There is no end to our week. Yeah. All right. Everybody's good. Just checking in. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Just trying to check a couple levels here on my board. And yeah, okay. So we have a lot to cover as always. There's never any shortage of news. Can I tell you something? People think, well, there's nothing to talk about today. But I can tell you there's always something to speak on and to talk about. So you're here. Yeah. Where do we begin? All right, shall we begin with some condolences for various families right now who are definitely going through a lot. As many of you know, I'm actually on a little family vacation. Gigi's birthday is on Sunday, and she's entering double digits, honey child. She is going to be 10. Don't ask me where the time went by, but anyway, it flew by rather quickly, I'll admit that. And so despite being overseas, you guys will know that I still get notifications of what's happening in the community. Obviously, the news continues to be published, and oh, that's weird. All of a sudden, my microphone just chipped in. Yeah, after today's show, I'm shipping off this board because there's definitely something wrong with this one. The company is still very much under warranty, so the company is taking it back, and hopefully they're just sending me a new one because I don't know if all the issues with this one can be repaired. It's got like a little gremlin in there playing with stuff. But anyway, I was just saying to you guys that despite being away, obviously, I'm still very much in the loop in terms of what's happening in our community. And so we had several people pass away yesterday that I wanted to just go ahead and share with you all. We actually published one last night on our social media page. So let me express my sincere condolences to the family of Mr. Denningston Tibbetts. He was a stalwart when it comes to all things for seamen. He was an advocate for them. He was in the construction and real estate industry for many, many years as well. And I had heard earlier in the day that he had passed away. So I was very sad to hear that. And I knew that he had been sick, but nonetheless, it's still a very sad situation. So his daughters, I think the community is definitely going to be holding you up in prayer and thinking of you. And, his brothers, many of you will know that he is the brother of the former leader of government business and long-serving MP for Georgetown, Mr. Kurt Tibbetts, and he does have other siblings as well. So we want to extend our condolences to all of them. Originally from Cayman Brac, but I think probably most of his adult life spent his time in Grand Cayman. So was really, really sorry to hear about his passing. And he was not the only person, unfortunately, who passed away yesterday. We also had Dr. Livingston, not Dr. Livingston, my apologies, Dr. Ironstone. Oh my goodness, my apologies there. Dr. Ironstone, dentist there in the Cayman Islands for many, many years. He was my dentist when I came to Cayman and needed, dental services. And he unfortunately has now passed away. So we want to extend our condolences to his family as well. He was in the States, I understand, at the time of his passing, and, and passed away after what appears to be an illness as well. So our sincere condolences to his wife. I know he had a wife and two children that mostly, he married when he was, a bit older in life. And so the kids and the wife never really moved to Cayman on a full-time basis. They were always in the U.S. So, but I know he was so proud of his kids. I remember on occasion going to visit him, for my dental appointments, and he would be telling me about the kids and just how they were doing. He couldn't believe that they were growing up so quickly. And when they were like starting to learn how to drive and get a bit more independence, he would share those moments with me as well. So, none of us are going to get out of this alive, as they say. We all will go down this road, this path. And I guess that's why we got to try to live it the best we possibly can, right? Yeah. So both of those gentlemen passed away yesterday. And, in more recent years, Dr. Ironstone was, he was very, he was kind of semi-retired, but he was one of those people who I always said to myself, you know what, he's going to die on the job, because he really, really loved his work, first of all. He enjoyed being around his patients, and he was just there at work, even as he started to slow down over the years. He would still be showing up at the office, and I remember thinking to myself, oh, okay. And he used to stay relatively healthy. I always saw him walking and just doing the things that he needed to do to stay as healthy as possible. So I was very, very sad to hear about his passing. So yeah, what more can I say? Really unfortunate. All right, I am here trying to find my app so I can check messages. And for some reason, something says that it's blocking it. Only God knows why. Okay. This is strange. Not sure. Learn more about the smart app control. Why is this trying to block my applications? All right. So everybody's good otherwise. Some sad times when we hear about all these people passing, of course. And, at the end of the day, all we can do is, extend our condolences. 9362626. The phone line is open. We're going to be having a bit of open mic conversation today, catching up a little bit about what is happening in the news. And yeah, I will let you guys know. So we had yesterday, many of you, I think, are waiting on the verdict for, you know, um, this young man who was convicted of killing his uncle, Bolo, as he was known as. And so that was in the news yesterday, where he was sentenced to life. I think it's such a sad situation. The question, the why did it happen? And I, over family land, I mean, one of the most ridiculous things, quite frankly, that I have heard in a really, really long time. So I don't know how to even wrap my head around this one, because it's it's just really unfortunate. I don't I don't know. The young man, I think, had so much potential. Just yesterday, someone else messaged me who is in the sort of industry and said, "Oh man, I know this young man when he was at CUC, and he was just so smart and seemed to really, really have his life together." And then to hear that he was arrested for this, and of course, a lot of people, even when he was arrested, nobody wanted to believe that this could possibly be true. So I know a lot of people are like, "No way, Sandy, there's no way he killed his own uncle." And I was like, boy, I'm not here to swear for nobody. That's all I can tell you. Nope, I don't know him. And I'm certainly not here to swear for him. And then as more and more of the details emerged about what happened, it seems like definitely the prosecution had a very strong case. He was found guilty. And yesterday he was sentenced to essentially what is the equivalent of a life sentence. So in Cayman, and I think generally speaking, under the English legal system, life means a little bit different. Like you hear people in the States getting like 99 years, and then sometimes they'll say life, right? So it has slightly different meanings under the American judicial system than it does in the Cayman Islands. So for him, life and what it means here is that he has to serve 31 years. So that's a life sentence. He's only 30 years old. So, I mean, technically, he could get out in his 60s and still, depending on his health, he could get out in his 60s and still have another 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. Some people live up until their 90s. But Justice Cheryl Richards handed down the sentence on yesterday in the Grand Court, increasing the statutory 30-year minimum term by 1 year after finding that the murder involved an exceptional degree of planning and premeditation. This is the part now that's like wild. It wasn't a situation where he accidentally killed his uncle or in a fit of, rage or anything like that. So let's remember the details that Demezio Frederick, only 30 years old, was convicted by a jury earlier this year, was found guilty of murdering his uncle, Christopher Bolo Johnson, on the early hours of December 31st, 2024, after a long-running family dispute that intensified after Johnson burglarized the home shared by Frederick and his mother weeks earlier. In her sentencing remark, Justice Richards considered the Crown's submission that 8 aggravating circumstances justified increasing the minimum term could be considered before he could be considered for conditional release. So the prosecution argued that the murder involved a significant degree of planning and premeditation, mental and physical suffering inflicted before death, killing by manual strangulation, concealment of identity through disguise, destruction of evidence, an attempt to evade prosecution, the murder of a family member involving an abuse of trust, and a lack of remorse. So they listed all of that, but the judge actually found that only one of those factors, in her opinion, were exceptional in nature. So the one about him having carefully planned it, noting that it had been carried out during a narrow window before Frederick's pre-booked return flight to the UK at a time when it was still dark and there was little risk of being seen. She also noted that the individual captured leaving the property had concealed his face. Justice Richards concluded that the degree of planning and premeditation was exceptional and warranted increasing the minimum period of incarceration by 1 year, resulting in Frederick being eligible to seek conditional release only after serving 31 years. So the judge rejected the Crown's remaining proposed aggravating circumstances as not meeting the legal threshold required to depart from the statutory minimum. So, the prosecution reminded the court of how Bolo was ambushed shortly after 5 a.m. after dropping his son to work. He suffered a blow to the head before being fatally strangled, and DNA belonging to Frederick was recovered from multiple locations on Johnson's body and clothing, including underneath the victim's fingernails. So obviously he tried to, fight for his life. Prosecutors also alleged that Frederick erased CCTV footage after the killing before leaving for the UK on January the 3rd, 2025, although the footage was later recovered through forensic analysis. The Crown told the court that the killing followed years of family conflict, culminating in Johnson's burglary of the family's Middle Road home earlier in the month, during which time jewelry and other valuables worth about $25,000 were stolen. Defense attorney John Furness, KC, accepted that the murder involved planning and premeditation, but argued that against many of the prosecution's proposed aggravating factors, and he submitted that there was insufficient evidence to conclude the attack was prolonged, despite the manual strangulation should be treated as a separate aggravating circumstance. So I guess he was somewhat successful in that the prosecution didn't win on those other points. He also tried to argue that Frederick's scheduled departure for university in the UK had been arranged before the killing and was not evidence of an attempt to flee prosecution. So, victim impact statement, his former wife spoke of the lasting trauma suffered by their 2 sons, who had once described a psychological toll of losing their father, who had just dropped him off, one son in particular, who had just dropped him off at work moments before the fatal attack. His elderly father, poor thing, bless his heart, that's Mr. Johnson, also detailed how the loss had traumatically affected his daily life and emotional well-being. So, under Cayman Islands law, conviction for murder carries a mandatory life sentence, and the court must then determine the minimum period an offender must serve before being eligible to be considered for conditional release, with the standard minimum set at 30 years unless exceptional aggravating or extenuating circumstances can justify increasing or reducing that sentence. There's another shocking case before the courts right now. And of course, we are not in a position to discuss that case because it is an ongoing case before a jury. So we will, not be talking about that one, okay? Until after it's done. Really, really sad situation. Morning, Shaka, Zulu. Happy Friday to you. Island Pearl is here. Damaris, good morning. Dominique, so good to see you. Marshall, nice to see you. Miss Deborah's in the house. Barbara G here with us. Strong Wilt, good morning. Marshall says, my condolences, Dr. Ironstone's family. He did my braces back in 1994. Yeah, he's been around a long time. He started Island Dental. Is it Island Dental? Cayman Dental. Back in the day, originally from Canada. But, he's moved to Cayman a long time ago and really made Cayman his home. Yeah. And I remember finding out that he was actually a fan of CMR, and he always made me chuckle. Every time he'd see me, he wanted to know what was the latest, what was going on Mall Road. And he said to me one day, you know what I like about Mall Road, Sandy, is you just tell it like it is. And he said, honestly, there's so much that you tell people that people would never know. And so, for example, he had one Caymanian, unfortunately, young lady who had stolen from the business some years back. And when she did, he said, on reflecting, she had a history of doing things. And he said, boy, if Ma Road was around, he knew that they could have paid more attention. And so he enjoyed the segments where we talk about people who are committing criminal offenses. And, he said that this is helpful to the community, right? So he found it helpful because he's like, we need to know who to be. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to adjust my camera thing here. Hold on one second. Let me just pull this out while I make some adjustments. He always said to me that he was keen to pay attention to these things because he said, you never know who you can trust anymore. We live in a very different world. And so he found that the information we provided was useful to him, making simple decisions like who to hire and who not to hire. And he said, yeah, I got to tell you the truth. That was a saving grace on more than one occasion. So, but he had he was always in good spirits, a very lively individual. So nice to see you having some fond memories of him there, Marshall. Lavana says the sad thing is we're all going to go and leave this land. No one can take it with them. Condolences to all of the family as well. One thing for sure, like I said, nobody gets out alive. Forgot to start the Instagram feed. Sorry. Just having a look here. Morning, Miss Romelia says, this is a road we all have to take one day, and the key is to accept the Lord as your Lord and Savior and live for him. Miss Emma, good morning to you. Paul wants to know where I am on vacation. Morning, Delcy. AJ, good morning. It says good morning and condolences to the those affected by the doctor's passing. And again, one of our own, Mr. Dennison Tibbetts, also passed away yesterday after an illness that he had as well. Barbara says, look like the vacation is doing you well. Look exceptionally beautiful today. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. I'm just adjusting my camera a little bit here. And then there will be no show on Monday. So I'm going to take Monday to sleep in. That's my travel day. So I will be spending that time snoozing, sleeping in. Hopefully I can sleep until like right around 8 o'clock or so. Feels so good to be able to sleep in. But yes, let me just see here. So I'll put up a little something with Dr. Ironstone. He was one of a kind, definitely one of a kind. And boy, when you've had as many tooth issues as I have had, oh Lord, dental issues, I should say. You really appreciate someone like Dr. Ironstone, right? Cayman Dental going through a lot of changes. Last time I went there, Dr. Tom has retired. He's no longer there. They have some new people in there who are owners of the business. I was like, what? Really? So crazy. But one thing for sure, nothing really stays the same. That's the one thing that we know in life, right? Yep. So he started Cayman Dental in 1993. So yeah. And then I moved back to Cayman in 1996. So we're still in the early days. So yeah, that's when they used to be in Merco Center. Yeah. So yeah. All right. So lots of moving parts as always. Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Barbara. I haven't even put on my moisturizer yet for the morning, so I'm surprised you're thinking I look so lovely. Moisturizer helps, I think. All right. I don't know. I tried to adjust the lighting, but I think it's a little bit too light now. Yay. We need to adjust it down a bit. We don't be trying to do no virtual bleaching around here. Let me tell you. But I have some. It's harder to control the lighting in a remote location. You don't have the ability to close like certain windows and stuff like that. Anyway, thank you so much. AJ, good morning to you. AJ got his mug. I see that it was delivered. So now he's officially got his CMR mug. Drink your Milo, your coffee, your tea in that. Enjoy. So glad that I could get that to you. Yeah, Shaq. I don't normally tell you guys where I'm at until after I come back, and then even then, sometimes I don't even tell you. I was like, yeah, I was just on a little family vacation. Anita, and I'm one of those people who, for the most part, does that all the time. Yeah, so I don't You know, a lot of people when they go out and they like to take pictures and put their real live location and stuff. I've never really been that person. We had an acquaintance, Mary will tell you, we had an acquaintance who always used to do that. And I was just like, why are you posting on social media where we are, like right this second? I was never one to, um, you know, to do that. So, yeah, I don't think it's necessary to let people know your every movement. Yep. I might post pictures afterwards, like when I'm back home in the comfort of my home. Sometimes even a day later, I was like, oh, I had such a fantastic time at this venue or this location. But yeah, hmm enjoying my time. Thank you, AJ. I'm so glad that you like it. AJ says, I know where you are. Um, so thank you guys so much for your feedback on yesterday's program. Again, another wonderful program. This week, the bills have come out for CUC, which means once again, lots of commentary. You know, I get it. I mean, I've got a bill right now that is just absolutely ridiculous. I told you guys I needed to share a couple things with you, and why it's so important to monitor these things in your life. Someone said yesterday that their friends were like, "Well, why should I have to do anything to save money in my electricity bill?" I'm just mind blown sometimes at the things that people say and how they think. So there was a lady in one of the women's group, Women in Cayman group, and she posted a whole bunch of stuff. And then I saw that she went back and edited the entire post and said something different. And in that moment, I think when you have to do that, that demonstrates that what you were saying once you were challenged actually wasn't true. So I, interestingly enough, asked her a number of questions. I'm going to tell you guys what she said, because sometimes I screenshot these things because I also know exactly how people flex. People really love attention. Can I tell you, in the world of social media, people love, they really, really love attention. And it's so funny because people get attention in different ways. And sometimes that means, I guess, they're not getting enough in their lives, but like in their real life. So social media is a whole other realm, right? For some people, they live on social media. Social media is the degree of engagement that they get. That's how they live. That's like it for them. It's like, everything. And you have to forgive me, but that's just not. I mean, I work on social media, but that's certainly not my life, right? I think it's kind of sad, but I've made some observations about people who really need approval from like total strangers or people that they barely know on social media. Like it's a different type of narcissism in a way, that you need approval from people who don't really know you. But for some people, I think that works out for them, because if people really knew you, they might not be all that fond of who you are. I think that there's something certainly to be said for that. So there is this literal bandwagon of where people every single year love to get on social media. They are experts in solar, although they've never even had solar. They don't even own a house, some of them. So I chuckle when I see them saying certain things, right? And they make all sorts of commentary. So this one yesterday, let me tell you what she said. And when I responded to her, I noticed that the post kind of disappeared then afterwards. I'm like, why did you take it down? Because y'all come with things that appear to be factual in nature, but actually are not at all. So this woman claims that, and now you can use these anonymous names on Facebook groups in particular. And so what that means is they're able to say things and there's no real accountability for who's actually even saying it. It's unfortunate because people are now taking advantage of that. But it's one of the features, I guess, um, of this new world that we live in, and certainly social media. So she has removed the post. I was just searching again to make sure that my mind wasn't um, fooling me. So anyway, this is what she said. And again, why remove it if everything you were saying was accurate? But anyway, she said that now someone help me figure out this nonsense. We use propane for the water heater, dryer, and stove. Our AC system is serviced and has been set according to the recommended guidelines from CUC. Our usage has not increased. The usual garb of explanation from CUC is because it is summer and the kids are out, then the bill would be higher. That's actually not what they say, but we'll get to that. Not in full anyway. There is no one at home but the dogs and cat. Fuel prices are dropping. So why, how can our consumption not change and we utilize pathways to reduce our consumption, yet we are all charged more? How does a light bill go from $500 to over $1,200? This is absolutely disgusting, and it is such a shame that CUC is allowed to get away with this thievery. End of vent session for today. Thanks for your time. Going to research solar options. All right, so let me just take this in turn because it's like you say something a million times. You have to continue to say it, right? So number one, she talks about she uses propane for water, heater, dryer, and stove. Okay, that's a start. Our AC system is serviced and has been set according to the recommended guidelines from CUC. Let me pause there, right? So I responded and I asked several questions, but obviously since she's deleted her post, I can't see, she obviously didn't want to respond to any of that. But when she says the recommended guidelines from CUC, I do have to ask, what are the recommended guidelines from CUC? Because what CUC says, and I've listened to them on more than one occasion, and I still have people who are arguing that, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Why do that? Yada, yada, yada. What CUC actually says is turn your AC off during the day. If you're not at home, turn it off. So when she said, I said, well, what guidelines did you follow? Now, I see that she is a mother of 2 children. I can assume, I don't know if the kids are both in camp, but presumably during the day, she makes mentions of cats and dogs being home. During the summer, I'm pretty sure that the chances of her kids being home at least part of the day, even if they have camp, that they're also there. So it's not just the dogs and the cats that are home. But even if the dogs and cats are at home, are you turning your air conditioning off? So I said, what are the settings, right? Because when someone makes to me, that's a broad statement. Because I don't know what you've seen about the settings from CUC and what your interpretation of that is, but I would like to know. So I said, well, what are the settings? CUC says turn it off. A lot of you continue saying, no, I'm going to keep it. And I'm one of those people, I turn off a number of the units, but some of them I actually, tend to leave it on because I'm like, yeah, I can leave it at 80 degrees. You think the air conditioning isn't kicking in and being used when you leave the thermostat at 80 degrees when it's literally almost 100 degrees outside? We have these smart thermostats. I would suggest that everyone in Cayman make certain investments that will allow you to have the information and the knowledge available. Because to call an electricity company a thief, right, and accuse them of thievery, I think is a bit much when you don't even understand yourself some of the elements of what you're saying. It's just wrong. Like I don't agree with that. Just because they are a corporate entity does not mean that you should feel the liberty to accuse them of doing something that they haven't done, right? I mean, first of all, it is defamatory. I know CUC is not going to do anything about it, but that really isn't the point. How do you guys feel? Like, are any of you business owners? What if your customers went around accusing you of stuff that simply isn't true? How would you feel about that? I'm a business owner. I'm a small business owner, and I know how detrimental comments like this can be. Now, the other thing about the AC unit, let me tell you all something, right? Our system, our AC system is serviced and has been set to the recommended guidelines. Okay. Thank you. I was actually going to get to the Ecobee system because we use those. The good thing about the Ecobee systems, because for many, many years we used Honeywell, and then probably about 3 years ago, we switched to Ecobee. We've had the Nest system at home, and now we switched them all out to the Ecobee system. One of the things I like about Ecobee, especially if you have rental properties, is you can actually set the higher and lower limits that people can adjust your air conditioning, right? And so if I go into Ecobee now, I can go in on my phone and I can actually see, you know, my tenants, they pay their own bill. I watch it for them, but that's a matter for them if they want to leave it on, because they're definitely paying it. But like when I look at my house, like right now, okay, what time is it in Cayman? 7:20. All right, I guess Marlon is still at home. He hasn't left out yet. But I am wondering why the living room air conditioning is on. You know how many times this happens? Right now, my living room is set at 75, cooling a huge portion, and there is absolutely nobody in the living room. Marlon doesn't need to cool the living room, right? He's home by himself. The master's in a completely separate unit by itself. That's set at 77 degrees, normally when he leaves out. But chances are he had it on last night. I'm going to turn it off right now. Chances are he had it on last night and he forgot to turn it off. And you know how many times that happens? So when you guys say, oh, nothing has changed, my usage is the same. There is nobody in Cayman, and nobody can contradict me with this. There's absolutely nobody in Cayman who could say from 1 month to the next, their usage, their kilowatt hours is exactly the same. That's impossible almost, right? There's always variances. You think your behavior hasn't changed, but your actual kilowatt usage fluctuates and changes all the time. So when people say that, I'm confused by what do you mean that your usage is exactly the same? So she says that at point number 3, our usage has not increased. Show me your bills. And this is what I said to her. If you're so confident in that statement, can you show me the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months of your bill? Because I want to see where your usage month on month has remained exactly the same. Because I doubt that that's the case, right? It would be, when I say near impossible, I'm talking about 99.9999999999999% impossible. That's not how it works. Like, I don't know how you guys, your basic understanding of electricity is like wild to me. She also says that fuel prices are dropping. What? What world do you live in? Fuel prices are not dropping. And if they temporarily drop because we thought the war was over, because Trump has only said that about 50 times, like literally about 50 times now, right? That was like for 2 days until him and Iran started fighting again. So fuel prices have not dropped. The other thing about fuel prices that you've got to pay attention to, even if they dropped, you're not going to see that reflected in your CUC bill until about 2 months later. Because remember, the fuel that they're using right now, right, isn't fuel they just bought yesterday. They have to purchase fuel in advance, folks, so that they don't run out of fuel. And obviously, there's a certain amount of storage capacity. And that fuel is purchased. It goes into the big engines. I've actually toured their facility, right? These engines are humongous. They're doing things to tweak them even though they're still using gas engines, diesel engines, I should say more accurately. They are doing things to them to ensure that they're working optimally. Like those engines have to be serviced, right? They have to be tweaked. There are upgrades that they have done to them as well to try to get more energy efficiency. So that was incorrect. So I'm like, Why? How are you saying that fuel prices have dropped when that actually isn't true? But even if it were true and they had dropped this month, you're not going to see that reflection until a few months down the pipeline. So then she talks about, again, her consumption has not changed. I do not believe that. And so I challenged her to show me a couple bills. And of course, she took the post down. If you're going to say something and you come acting like you've got facts, bring your facts. Let me give you all an example of something here. So I would definitely recommend that you get the Ecobee Smart thermostats. They're very, very good. And John LaRue says, why don't you program it to turn it off for 11 o'clock or crank it up? You're absolutely right. It should be programmed. I've been kind of leaving that to Marlon, but he's never fully programmed it. But what I have done is there are some units, like I said, the rental units, obviously. Oh, this is interesting. Can't connect to this thermostat. Okay, let me send this to, I need to send this to our electrician. Or I don't know who's going to fix this one, but let me just send this one. Yep, this is important. And this is why you've got to pay attention to stuff. And I'm going to tell you how so many of us claim this, that, and the next thing. And the fact of the matter is we're not paying attention at all. So here's an example. My utility bill, you guys know I have an office space now. We've been fitting it out. We did foam spray where we could. It's in a bigger building. So there's only probably so much you can do as well, right? But we did try to foam it because we're not the top store, which I think is good because I think in terms of heat, we are a little bit more cushioned. But the other thing with this unit is it has a lot of windows. It's one of those older buildings, and I don't think glass is a very good conduit, but around the whole perimeter basically are windows. And this is design. This is when they talk about be careful how you design your homes. The location where the sun comes in. I remember when we first moved into our house, we literally have one of those doors, and I'm not that fond of it, but it has like that little kind of oval looking glass piece in it. We had to tint that like 3 times because the sun was so intense coming through just that little sliver that every afternoon we couldn't even sit in our living room and watch TV because the sunlight was coming in. And tinted it once, it didn't help that much. Tinted again, we had to tint it, I think, like 2 or 3 times for it to finally make a difference. So you can imagine the amount of heat that is coming through with that sunlight. And literally, you can put at certain times of the day, you can put your hand in that and you can feel the heat, right? So we have tried our best to, again, our house also has a lot of windows. This office space has a lot of windows. So when we were in there, we could see like as the sun moved throughout the day, like one room, which is the conference room, oh my God, like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, it started to feel so hot in that room. I thought, oh, wow, this is going to be a problem. So we had all of the windows tinted. Now, it's an older building. We don't have the option to be like, oh, let's just change out all the windows. That would be a pretty penny. And it's a strata. So we can't just tell the strata like, oh, we're going to be doing this with our windows, right? That would have to be a strata decision. I pray and hope that one day they kind of resurface the outside and that they actually find a way to cover that. Instead of having it all glass, they do some other design where some of it's covered and they can put insulation in between. Like that would be amazing, but that's not my call, right? What we could do though, is we could tint it. And so we tinted it. Immediately, big shout out to Rashid. Go and talk to Rashid. The name of his company is Cayman. He does such an amazing job with tinting. He's tinted the rental properties for us, and he's also tinted. He's with Cayman Window Tinting, right? And you can find him at caymanwindowtinting.com. Him and his wife run that business, and they offer phenomenal customer service. So he came in, he tinted it for me. Again, right away, the boardroom, which was so hot at a particular time of day, I could feel the temperature literally drop, right? Certain rooms in the afternoon, as the sun kind of moves around the building, you could feel the difference in the temperature. But I still noticed that our CUC bill was high. Now, not the bill that just came out, but the previous bill was high, really high because of that fuel factor. It had gone over $1,000. Now I want y'all to think about this, because when you say, oh, Sandy's sitting there defending CUC, they must be paying her bills. I wish. Can I get married to somebody at CUC? I'll take a second husband to help me pay the bill. Like, seriously. No, nobody's helping me paying my bill. I feel the same pain that you guys do. The difference is I'm fair and I understand where my pain and where being upset should be displayed, right? I can't accuse a company of stealing when I know that that's actually not going on. We have the Ecobee system at the office. We also have the other system, which I keep telling you guys about, which is the what's it called again? Oh Lord, I think it begins with an E as well. The one that you plug in where it monitors your devices and what they're using. Somebody remind me of it again. Electricity monitoring. Hold on. I can't think of the name of it right now. Also begins with an E. So we have that installed on certain things as well. The Emporia. There you go. So check out both of these options, because I think that these are very good options that will actually help you to understand what your usage is, and that nobody's stealing anything from you, right? So the bill was still too high. So when I got that one for over $1,000, I thought to myself, whoa, 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 whoa. Hello, honey child. The issue for me is there's actually no one there. Nobody's using that unit, right? I go in maybe a couple times for the week at this point for a couple hours. So we will, once the radio station gets up and going, we'll be using it more. But I'm thinking, how am I paying $1,000 for a unit that's not even in use? My automatic response wasn't, oh, I'm going to run and go cuss out CUC, blame them for stealing electricity. It's all their fault. I said, no, something has got to be wrong here. So what I did was I reached out to CUC and said, hey, CUC, can I request an audit? Now, they don't have the capacity to do audits for every single person, but you can actually have other people who are qualified to do audits for you. And I would sincerely hope that some of you who are claiming this, that, and the next thing, and somebody stealing your electricity from you, take them up on the offer. There's actually been people who've been here on the show complaining when CUC reaches out and said, hey, we can do an audit for you to see what's really going on. Those same people refuse to allow CUC to do an audit. I'm like, you guys can't be serious. You can't sit here and cuss an electricity company. And then in the next breath, when they say, all right, if you really, really believe that something's going on, whether you think it's an issue with your meter or, somebody stealing electricity from whatever, let us come out and do an audit. How do you then have the audacity to say no to that? It's a completely free audit. Help me understand people, because I don't understand them. So I requested an audit. They said, okay, Sandy, no problem. They came out. You know what their findings were? Let me tell you. Usage, Dylan comes out. He has a look around. He's like, boy, everything looks pretty, you've done a lot in terms of what you can do. But he says, I bet you your air conditioning unit, because sometimes in these commercial buildings, he's like, we need to check things to see, this is an old building built in the 80s. How is electricity? Is anybody else tapped into your panel box and you don't know it? Because sometimes you find all kind of jerry-rigging things that's going on that you don't even know, right? He said, here's what we're going to do. I need you to shut off your air conditioning for a period of 8 hours. I actually shut it off for 24 hours, gave him plenty of time. He came back and said, when your air conditioning unit was off, your usage on that unit was 0.2 kilowatt hours. Okay, 0.2. When you turned it back on, the usage went from 0.2 to 2.6, almost 3 kilowatt hours. So negligible 0.2 kilowatt hour usage to 2.6. And I was like, what? He said, your issue here is your air conditioning unit. I don't know if you've got a leak, if it's in just old, it needs to be updated. So I said, okay. So I then start to reach out. I'm sharing these personal stories because there's someone who sat here. This just happened a couple weeks ago, right? As someone who's sat here and advocated that we check your bills, you check your usage, I also am guilty of not doing it for all of these months until I get a bill that made me go, whoa. Imagine when I'm in that space full time, what the hell my bill's going to be like. So I was like, oh, hold on a second, honey, child. What's going on here? So when I actually said, okay, that this is a problem, I reached out to the strata because, again, they're responsible for certain things. The air conditioning unit is one of them. They had the guy come out, and what do you think happened? There's a leak. Oh, we had to top up your unit with Freon. Well, let me correct that. He said we had to top up your unit with Freon. I said, really? How usual? Like, what's the schedule of servicing? Oh, we supposedly service every month. So in a month or more, if this unit was really being serviced, nobody saw that the Freon was somehow disappearing. Where did the Freon go? So then it's like, oh, you may have a leak. Well, the guy comes out, he can't find a leak. Not yet. This is still an ongoing real world situation, right? So when he couldn't find the leak, he says to me, the technician comes in the office and he says, but it's really hot in here. And your air conditioning says supposedly it's 75. And I said, yeah, I mean, I do feel it's a little bit warm. He said, it doesn't feel like it's 75 to me. Does it feel like it's 75 to you? And I said, not really. But, here I am thinking it's just me, premenopausal, menopausal, who knows what's going on. So he said, no. He went and got his little machine to test it. The thermostat, the same Ecobee thermostat that I'm telling you guys about, actually has the wrong temperature. So the thermostat reading is wrong. The feel like temperature and the actual temperature and what the thermostat was saying completely did not align. So he's like, we need to make some adjustments to your thermostat. How many of you knew that your thermostat could actually be telling you the wrong temperature? And if your thermostat is telling you the wrong temperature, then that has you adjusting it and fiddling with it in ways that you probably shouldn't be. Have you ever, this is an honest question because this has happened to me now on more than one occasion, have you ever had your technician check the accuracy of your actual thermostat? Now, the Ecobee systems come with, some of the models come with these little devices. Let me show you. Let me just go on Amazon. That you can put them at different locations in your house, right? And they help to give you a more accurate reading of Ecobee, a more accurate reading of what the temperature is. Because I hope you understand that if you have your thermostat located in a particular area, yes, the temperature in your room might be different than the temperature in your living room, although it is feeding off of the exact same system. That's why there are people who can be in your house. One person's like, oh my God, I feel so hot. And they're in the living room. The other person's in the room. They feeling different temperature. That's because the temperature actually is different. So let me just show you this. So Ecobee actually has these little sensors, right? They're a smart sensor, and I think they even have like air quality sensors and stuff as well. But these smart sensors allow you to know more precisely the temperature for a given location. So you see that little white thing here in this picture? That little white thing you put in different rooms. So at our house, we have each of the bedrooms has one of those in it. Because although the thermostat, which is located in one room, might say it's X degrees, the actual temperature in the individual rooms, once again, is different. And you can look it up on your Ecobee system, and it will actually tell you what the sensors are saying based on the location. So let me just go to the office, right? And I see the guy adjusted my temperature there. But yes, you can go into the details here and it'll tell you based on the sensor location exactly. Let me see here. I think it's in settings. Ecobee Plus device. Is it device settings? No, it's somewhere here. Comfort settings, maybe. No, but sensors. Here we go. So it'll actually tell you what the sensor says, right? And the sensor again isn't going to always say the exact same thing as the thermostat because where that's physically located, that's getting a different reading. Even the placement of your thermostat. Has anyone ever said this is the best placement for it to get the most accurate reading, et cetera, et cetera? Most people just, when you build a house, they seem to just throw it wherever, like, oh, we'll just put it in a central location. But that central location may not be the best place for your thermostat, even. Like, there's so many moving parts to this. I really wish that people would think some of this through. So they weren't able to find a leak. I'm continuing to press them because this can't be the end of the story, right? So just yesterday, they went out to the location again because now they're saying, okay, now it becomes a process of elimination. We need to start looking at, let me see what the last email was that he sent to me yesterday. We need to start looking at a number of different things to see if we can figure out exactly what's going on. The bottom line is, I know that something is happening within my unit connected to my air conditioning that doesn't make any sense. And that is why my bill is so high. It's not because of usage, right? Mind you, the usage is over 2,800 kilowatt hours, but nobody's there. So that usage doesn't make sense when you literally have anyone there. So I understand your frustration when people are like, well, I'm not home and da 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 da, but something is using it is the problem. You might think you're not using it, but there is something in your house that is actually using it. So now the Strata is saying to the AC company, we need a report because we got to figure this out, right? So I have a condenser unit for myself, and I'm saying to them, these commercial condenser units are not cheap, $25,000, but I'm not paying for that. That's going to be a Strata expense because at the end of the day, how do you justify me paying an exorbitant amount in electricity bill, which in 6 to 7 months is going to pay for a new condenser unit when you think of it that way, versus fixing whatever the issue is? If it can't be fixed, you replace the whole darn thing, right? And so now they're going to double check the equipment. They need to check the thermostat settings, the wiring on the thermostat, because that could be an issue as well. So they're continuing to explore. I'll keep you guys updated on what we discover. So that's example number one, right? They've topped up the Freon. And he was saying to me, and I said, well, you've topped up the Freon. And the thing about it is, after he topped it up, because the guy said, yes, low Freon can definitely have a impact on your bill for sure, right? Because the unit has to work harder in order to operate. So then I checked with CUC and I said to Mr. Dillon, I said, okay, they've topped up the Freon. Since the Freon has been topped up, have you seen a significant difference? Because again, CUC can look at this in real time, They can see your usage. That's what I'm telling you, have an audit done if you're convinced that somebody's stealing from you. And he said to me that since the audit was topped up, there's been no significant difference. So we found that one circuit was running low on Freon, and Freon was added to the system. So that was a solution. We need to schedule a leak test and repair for this system. But for now, system is operating as it should. I don't even want to tell you about some of these AC people. I'm not going to get into anything with them. But anyway, what I will say is not all air conditioning companies are created equal. So when you also say to me, oh, I'm having units serviced, y'all better check and see who's servicing your AC and if they really know what they're doing. Because a lot of y'all are going cheap on the servicing, and these people, they're not checking certain things, not at all. And your systems are still running inefficient, despite the fact that they're regularly serviced. So then he said, right, so I asked of CUC, if they've noticed any difference since the Freon was topped up. And they said, after looking at your daily usage, I can only see a small change since the top up of the Freon, nothing that would make a significant difference in your monthly usage. So again, the problem has not been resolved. Now, let me give you another example. On rental units, when we purchased these, there was a solar system on them. That solar company has since gone out of business. Another key lesson here, folks. Everybody's jumping on the solar bandwagon. Everybody wants to install solar, or they're the experts, they're this, they're that. I'm telling you without fear of contradiction that the vast majority of these companies are fly by night operations. When you get solar panels, they claim that, it's going to last for 20, 25 years. Those people are not even going to be here. This is the same situation, right? This guy, him and his wife divorced. The company broke up. He since moved back to Canada, wherever the hell he was from. And, what's happened to the warranty for those systems? Okay, y'all get me? So I said again, this is why I'm sitting here telling y'all, look at your bill, check the details. I am guilty of do as I say and not as I do. Okay? Because again, when the last bill came out a couple weeks ago, I said, my tenants are paying their bills. So I'm not really here to micromanage them. If they have an issue, then they would reach out. We make sure the air conditioning is serviced on a regular basis. All the windows are tinted. We've done as much as we can. But I said, you know what? I wonder how much of a credit they're getting for their solar. Guess what? What do you think happened? Both units, the solar system has not even been working. I'm like, wait a minute. There's no credit on the bill from the solar system? What's going on here? So I went to CUC and I said, excuse me, I've noticed that both of the tenants have no credit. It's a duplex, but they have their own solar panels and everything. I'm just like, there's no credit on the bill for solar. What's going on here? Well, Miss Sandy, after we checked, right, one unit stopped operating and stopped sending stuff through to CUC in terms of the solar in October of 2024. I'm like, what? Almost 2 years. And I did not even notice. The other one, it has been since last year, October of 2025. Neither of them have been getting the solar credit. And I'm just like, what the hell happened? So now I have to get another solar company. Big shout out to James, by the way. He's still around. I have to get him and his technicians to go out there and try to look and figure out what's going on with these solar panels. Is it the panels? Is it some, I don't know, power box, fuse box, whatever? And I can only pray and hope that whatever it is a, fingers crossed, an easy fix. You need to look at your bills. You can actually see what the individual panels are doing and if they're not working. That's what you pay for when you pay for decent solar panels. Y'all talk about these fly-by-night solar panels where everybody just throws up a solar panel on top of your house. You don't even check the weight load on your roof or nothing, and y'all think that that's going to solve your problems. If you're going to do something, you have to do it the right way. You have to make sure that you're working with reputable companies, reputable organizations, right? Even when it comes to things like getting solar, because some of you are like, oh, I'm just going to get the cheapest thing on the market. And I'm just like, oh my God. Shaka Zulu says the Ecobee is by far one of the best thermostats at the moment, no doubt. The thing that I like about it, and I'm going to tell you why this is important, especially for those of you who have like rental properties and stuff like that, is because you can actually set the limit of what people can do with that thermostat. So not all of the Ecobees, but there's a particular model that gives you, obviously you're going to pay more money, but it's a more advanced model. And it allows you to say, okay, they can't drop the air conditioning below 75. Because what I found was happening when it was Airbnb, these people come from overseas, and I don't care whether it is December or June, August, the dead of the summer. The first thing they come in is they go and set the AC to 65. Basically, forcing your air conditioning unit to overwork to the point where your unit is going to freeze up on you, right? So in the first few months, I'm like, oh, no, we can't have this. We cannot have this. I think 75 is more than comfortable. So the range is 75. And if it goes above 90, 95, then, it needs to kick in. So you can set the operational range of that thermostat And then that'll force your air conditioning to not go below that and not to overwork your unit. Can you believe that one of the people who came, it was a family from California, it was just one daughter and the two parents. Normally, with such a big space, you'll have bigger groups trying to book these space because again, they're trying to squish as many people into one space. That's a lot of load on your air conditioning, your electricity, everything. And of course, they're not paying the bill, when you do these short-term rentals, so they don't care. They leave windows open, they leave doors open, they're in and out at the pool. They don't care about nothing because they don't see. And I had a conversation with a few of them of like, do you know what we pay for electricity here in Cayman? Like we had the signs. Like if you go out for the day, just turn the unit off, please. Don't leave the doors like wide open because then your air conditioning can't even shut off during the day because it's constantly working to try to cool that space. All this stuff. So these people come now, right? And they're renting for, I think they were about 10 days, which is a longer term period. Most people do like a week or less. And so they're like, oh, we can't drop the temperature in the air conditioning. I'm like, well, 75 isn't cool enough for you. What would you like to drop it to? 65 degrees. I was like, what? Excuse me? Excuse me? You're coming to an island and you expect the temperature inside to be 65 degrees? They were from California. I'm like, California not that cold? What part? Well, we're used to having our temperature 65 and we can't. And I said, look, we can compromise because I'm not allowing you to sit here running this 24/7 at no 65 degrees and freezing up this air conditioning system. Because then you can help me find $30,000 to replace the whole thing, right? So I said, the best I can accommodate you is I'll allow you to adjust it down to 70. And that was the compromise. And use the fans. 'Cause I said the fans are amazing. We get these high powered standing fans, you got ceiling fans, turn them all on. And you'd be amazed how much cooler that makes a room feel, the feel like temperature. You can imagine someone coming to Cayman and wanting to sit in air conditioning at 65 degrees. Andrew, good morning, says, do you resell unused energy from your solar system to CUC? If so, how much per kilowatt? So the way that it works, I'm going to be honest with you, when we first got the system, because we were actually using a lot less as a household, we were in a constant credit. So what they do is, yes, there is a point when, if you've used up whatever it is that you're using, CUC will then purchase the rest and give it to you, I think, by way of like a credit or whatever. So we were getting within the first bill was like the first month after we installed it. And this was like 9 years ago. So keep this in mind, right? That first bill was like 60 something dollars, I remember. Then it started to go into the credit. So every month we were in the credit by a couple $100. Now, what changed? And again, this is when people are like, oh, my usage hasn't changed. And I'm like, that is hogwash. It is impossible for your usage not to change. So what I realized is our usage changed because when I had, office space at Pasadora Place. When I moved back home, the equipment that I had at Pasadora Place moved with me. And so all of a sudden now we have an entire server room that was built out, and that server room has to be maintained to a particular temperature because those computers need to be kept. They're running and they produce a lot of heat and they have to be kept at a particular temperature. So there's one, it's a single, what do you call it, split unit for that server room. And that is kept on 24/7 at a very low temperature. When you go in there, you're cold because that is required. So that alone, just adding that, obviously, has been an addition. We didn't, in those days, we didn't have a helper at home. So Gigi was in daycare. When Coco's home, she gets a little fan. Zeus gets a little fan. I'm not leaving no air conditioning. As much as I love my dogs, I'm not leaving no air conditioning on for them all day long, right? So we would leave out, turn off the air conditioning, leave them the fans. Or sometimes I'd be like, send that dog to doggy daycare because then he gets out and he plays with his friends and he gets somebody else's air conditioning and it's worth it. But they're normally comfortable with the fan, right? Indoors, I don't believe in making your dog stay outdoors. It's too hot for that, especially during the summer months. But the other thing that has changed in terms of our patterns and our usage is now we have a full-time helper. So Miss Stacy's there during the day. Not to say she's sitting there blasting TV and this and that, whatever, but she is there during the day. So there's some electricity usage while she's there. She's going in and out of refrigerators, doing stuff, with the refrigerators. We went from one refrigerator to two refrigerators. All of these habits, these are consumption habits that increase your usage, whether you claim you're doing something different or not. You are. You might not realize it. Maybe you're not really thinking about it, but we are doing different things, right? So I'm no longer leaving the house all day and going to another location. I'm doing my show in the morning for at least 2 hours, sometimes more, as you guys well know. Then, I might putt around the house a bit longer, doing emails, doing this, whatever. I've got a gaming machine as my primary machine at home that uses a lot of power. How do I know how much power that uses? Because my, what's the system called again that I just told you? My Emporia system tells me that that's one of the higher usage items actually in my house outside of the big appliances like the refrigerator and the air conditioning unit. Okay? So there are lots of moving parts. All I'm saying is if you're going to make statements like somebody's stealing from you, you just should really be honest. So Sarah says, good morning, Sandy. We leave the shutters closed on the east and west side, but have concrete walls. Seeing a company offering to foam the outside, have you or any of your viewers done this and seen a difference? Sarah, such a good question. Let's talk about it. So we have, I don't have shutters on my house. I don't know. I think aesthetically, I don't like shutters, but beyond that, they tend to attract frogs to your house because then they have the little crevices that they want to be hiding in. And I'm afraid of frogs. Okay, I'm afraid of anything that is not a dog or a cat or a human, and I'm afraid of a lot of humans too. But I don't like frogs, and I don't want anything that's going to attract frogs to my house. That is one of the reasons why I haven't put shutters on. I mean, the windows are obviously double pane, hurricane resistant, whatever. So, I kind of take my chances. And I also don't like to have a house shuttered up. I want to be able to, if I want to, open my windows, get a little bit of fresh breeze in. On the inside of our homes, we have the plantation shutters. You know what those are, right? Where you can kind of close them, whatever. So I know that that's different. Our house is concrete. There is not a single piece of sheetrock in our house in terms of walls. But here's the thing, concrete walls, although Caymanians love it, and we love it because, when a hurricane comes, you're like, yeah, I got a good solid house. But the downside of that is concrete is actually not a very good conduit. It's not a good heat conduit, right? So that attracts a lot of heat, and it doesn't release heat in the way that you think. So when I thought about it years later, when you think about construction of a house, we didn't build it, but we bought it brand new. There's no insulation in those walls. How you insulate concrete, I don't even know. I think there is a way to do it, but we don't have no insulation. We got concrete walls. Every single wall is concrete, and there's no insulation, right? Okay, so no insulation, concrete walls, concrete exterior with, I guess, a little bit of marmoran. There is a company, in fact, just 1 second. I got a lot of background noise here. Give me 1 second. Let me go resolve this issue real quick.
If you're a parent right now, you already know the cost of living has gone up. Rent, childcare, groceries. When the cost of living rises, government must rise to meet it. And we have. Under the revised ECAP policy, our Early Childhood Assistance Program, we've increased funding to keep pace with what families are actually paying today for their children's early education. Who benefits? A father working every hour he can. A single mother doing it alone. A grandparent raising grandchildren they love. Maybe that's you. Up to 235 Caymanian children will benefit directly. And I want every single one of them to have the start they deserve. That is why we're here. If you've applied before and been disappointed, I encourage you to try again. If you've never applied because you assumed you wouldn't qualify, now is the time to find out. And if the funding didn't feel like enough before, It should now. Is your child 3 years old and Caymanian? You may qualify. Visit us at moeapplications.gov.ky and apply for the 2026-2027 academic year.
All right, folks, we're back. I had to use my little Spanish. Señorita, silencio, por favor. I don't know what kind of noise going on. I was like, look, yeah. So that question, Sarah, about foaming walls. Okay. I actually just got a quote for a house just last week because I'm thinking about doing a treatment on the top of the roof that supposedly is going to reduce the heat that comes through the roof by a significant amount. So I had the company come out, took them a while to get to me. I guess they're busy. I don't know. It took them a while to get to me, and they provided a quote. Now, it ain't cheap. When I saw the quote, I was like, this is a significant investment. This would be almost about half of what we paid for solar panels. Okay. But we're talking about $20,000. That is a huge investment. And so I'm going to continue to do my own independent research to see whether or not this would actually give me the returns. Because if the returns make sense, I'm happy to do the investment. But, that's a big coin drop right there, right? So someone said, speaking of that company, they said morning, they've listed two of them. They offer spray insulation on your walls. It's a cork spray, but it's super expensive. I would only recommend it if you're doing a new build or doing marmoran for the first time. So they do not just the walls, but they can do the rooftop as well. So where I'm thinking about having them come is doing the roof for me. So it's so interesting that this person actually mentioned one of the companies. And you know what? I should get a quote. I don't know if the other one does anything on the roof or not, but one of them I definitely got a quote for the rooftop, and it's about, they said to me, oh, do we need to come out and talk you through it, whatever. I said, no, just send me the quote because look, I don't need no whole pile of talking in my head. You send me the quote and I need to figure out if I can afford it or not. If I can't afford it, no amount of talking is probably going to help me all that much, right? So, yes, so I need to have a think about that to see whether or not that would actually make a significant reduction. And, if it would make a reduction, then it is certainly worth it, without a doubt. So I see one of my tenants just got a bill for $223.64. They were actually away for most of the billing period. And I do know that despite them being away, they actually left their air conditioning on. It's really because of one of the things that came in, and this is something you got to be conscious of, is we have really what is going on with this woman, this noise in my head. We really have we have to be careful with the humidity levels. I saw somebody else posted in the women's group that, them and their husband, they've lived in a couple different places, including other places in the Caribbean. And they said no other place that they have lived in the Caribbean have they had an issue with humidity like what they do in Cayman. And I don't know what it is. I can't tell you why that is. I don't know what it is with Cayman's heat levels, humidity levels, whatever. But you can get mold in a Cayman home very, very easily. So you've got to be careful with the humidity. You've got to make sure that people was checking. So someone said that they got quoted $27,000 for their walls. We have spray foam, so it wouldn't make a significant difference. And another company quoted about 15. But we did so much to our house, the returns wouldn't make sense. We're going to just do solar. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, the foam thing, I'm looking at it for the rooftop. Another person says, before changing to standing seam, I had shingles and painted the deflecting paint, and that really does lower the temperature and bills. The product is sold at Cayman Coating. We've done that as well. We've done that. I don't know how much how often you need to redo that, but this person says, morning, I have shutters. All the bedroom window shutters are closed, trees, etc. But bill climbed because I'm assuming it's due to the fuel. Don't just assume it's due to fuel. Look at your bill and check it and see that you can definitely tell. Another person says, use a solar shield paint from TCE Paint. It's paint for fine ceramic balls in it that's similar to the outside coating on the tiles that protected the space shuttle during re-entry. It reflects the heat and it makes a difference. The paint can be tinted to match your existing color. So we did that a couple years ago on our rooftop, but I think that we need to maybe look at, and this is why, I wanted to get this quote and look at this other option as well. So this person says, good morning, OMG, we're beating this dead horse again. I mean, we have to because people just aren't getting it. Where and when are the fuel prices dropping? Because again, this person claimed the fuel price had dropped. Here's my usage. It went down and my bill went down. Last month, it was $503. This bill is $473 rounded up. And they said for expletive's sake. But again, that fuel factor isn't going down. That fuel factor has actually gone up. Now, big shout out to the government because you notice your fuel factor, and this person sent me their bill, $473, $309 of that is fuel factor at 0.22 cents. And then 190 was actually their actual usage, right? So the fuel factor is 2 times, sometimes even more, 50% more of your bill than anything else. So it is interesting. Now they got the credit from the government, and then the government is going to be capping, because remember the government program, relief program does 2 things. Not only are they going to give you a rebate, except if you have solar. So I'm one of those unfortunate people. I invested in solar, so the government ain't helping me. I'll accept. I understand the logic behind why they're saying that, right? And it's for the greater good of the community because they can't afford it. I mean, the government is spending millions of dollars in this relief program. So the relief program is giving you the fuel duty back, which isn't really that per person, but a little bit helps. And they're also capping the amount of the fuel surcharge. But if this war continues and the fuel continues to increase, right? That is where, as Minister Ralston explained it from the financial perspective, that's where they're hedging their bets. Because what if the fuel goes up to 30 something cents a kilowatt hour, right? Government has capped it. Is it at 18? Is what they said that they would do. And then they have to pay the difference to CUC. And that could literally be millions of dollars. And it's not paying it to CUC because CUC doesn't mark up fuel. It's the cost of the fuel. Good morning, caller.
Well, good morning.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm grateful it's Friday.
I know. Rolling into the weekend.
Yeah, and I just had a little bit of rain. So
Oh,
my plants are happy.
good.
Yes.
Very nice.
They're out there jumping up and down and clapping their hands. And I'm inside doing the same thing because then I'll have to go there and water them. Anyway, Sandra,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say something, but I don't want us to expand on it. You read a comment just now where someone said, oh my God, we beating this dead horse again. And it reminded me of something, should I say a professor said, this is when I was doing marketing. And, that's one of the things they teach you. You have to know when to stop. You can't be the dead horse. Anyway, so I have to say I agree with that person. But that's not what I called to say. I read an article. Well, I know that you're aware.
Well, this isn't. Let me just address that and be very, very clear. This isn't a dead horse because if you see the amount of comments on social media, and that's why I started this conversation with that, where people are constantly talking about it, it is a very topical conversation. And we could literally have this conversation every single month during the summer, and it's still going to be a topical conversation because at the end of the day, people are in real time having to deal with their bills. So, some people might be tired of hearing it, but that doesn't mean.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think in the context that the person used it, it's a dead horse, and I share that view. I'm certainly not going to be discussing it. I see it as one of those no-win situations. I have made up my mind. I have everything electric in my house, so I'm either going to pay or let them shut it off, and then I put around in the darkness. That's where I'm at with it. Okay, so CUC is no different than any other utility company on this island. There is just, as they say, no help, no mercy on the wicked. So that's where I will leave that. I don't really want to talk about CUC. Having said that, you're still welcome to come look at my bills. I don't want you to think I'm dodging you on that. But you got to let me know because I'm in the process of cleaning out stuff. And I'm in my study now. That's where I've reached. And if you tell me you're not coming, then they can get dumped. But if you come in, then of course, I can hold those out for you. But you're welcome to have a look at them. I told you that. But what I called about, as I said, I saw this article posted on CMR, and I know that you're aware of it. It's this out-of-order note that these people left on someone's vehicle, and then this, I can't use the word on air, I think it's still on radio, but anyway, this supposedly apology. And one of your listeners, I'm not sure if she continues to listen to you anymore, but she, this long verbiage there, and at the end of it, said that she didn't want any comments, or she wouldn't be responding to anyone's comments. Sorry. Let me just say, Sandra, that I hope the Caymanians are finally waking up. I hope they open their eyes and realize that this is what these people think of us. Okay? It doesn't matter if you think you are a white Caymanian or not. Once you are a Caymanian, they come here, they look at us, they have their opinion before they get here. Then they come here, and imagine to leave your country halfway across the pond or across the pond to come here, to circle around. You've premeditated, writing a note. Now you're going to find your vehicle. You're going to put the note on the vehicle. You're going to attack the individual that owns the vehicle to speak about the size of their genitals. You see, I don't know how well people understand that. But when you go there, because we're not talking about the vehicle now, okay? When you go there and you attack a man there, it speaks volumes. And if people believe that that's not racism, think again. It's not just envy. This goes back to that mentality where a black man needs to stay in his place. He shouldn't have anything. How dare you? That's the mentality behind. And it was done to him, but it's meant to all of us. So when these people strip themselves naked, and they were bold enough to do that, please take note. As Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. That action, there is no apology. Yes. The commenter made reference to harm. Harm is not just physical. Harm is harm.
Yeah.
You could insult me this morning. That could really hurt me. And yes, it caused me harm. But you didn't lay a finger on me. So what I say to those people, and I'm not pulling any stops this morning, stay out of Caymanians' business. Stay out of our lives. And you paper holders, please understand, you are not Caymanians. You are no different than all of the leeches that have come here to make your money. You've come here for a better life. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I'm certainly not packing up and leaving to go anywhere. You have left whatever crumbs you had behind to come here. And what I would invite any of you to do, including those that are amongst us, take a picture of where you came from, publish that, show us where you came from. Because I know, but I know a lot of our Caymanians don't know. And so you come here riding high on your horse, looking down at people. Let me remind you, this is our land. This is for us, even though most of it has been sold off. But for where I occupy, it's mine. And it will never be for sale to any non-Caymanian. It's not for sale, period. So I say, if you are going to visit the Cayman Islands, first of all, check yourself before you arrive at the airport. Adjust your attitude. You are not welcome here by us. And I speak for many Caymanians. And I'm not talking about paper holders. I'm talking about Caymanians. As they say, not those that came by plane, but by pain. You have offended us. When you can attack one of our Caymanians only because of the color of his skin, that runs deep. So I say, choose another destination. Or come here and respect us. You've already come here, you've traveled all over us, and you think it's okay, you think to justify that because we've had governments that say it's okay to do it. Well, we say it's not. It is not. We are passive people, and that is very much misconstrued. We're called stupid. You think we're primitive? But let me tell you something. I wouldn't visit somewhere where I thought people are stupid and primitive. So again, I say, check your attitude. I don't know what your family here may have told you about us. If I had to guess, I would say they share the same opinion and attitude that you do. Your elders, you refer to your grandchildren. And it confuses me as to how you're going to write and talk about you were only thinking of your grandchildren. How did they get into this? Were they in the vehicle the man was driving off with them? Were they under the vehicle? Well, maybe you and your grandchildren should find somewhere else to visit. We don't appreciate people like you here. You're not welcome. And I can't say that enough. And it would do all of us good if you all would get yourselves together, pack your happy rags, and leave. And please do not believe that if you leave, we are going to crumble. That's what they thought in the Bahamas also. Well, guess what? The Bahamas is still very much standing without you all.
All right. Thank you so much, my dear.
Okay?
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we certainly discussed this on Monday, and we discussed it again on yesterday's program as well, just at the beginning of the program. What I can say, Alray says you speak for all Caymanians. What I can say is the interesting thing about it is we can't assume that these people necessarily knew who owned the vehicle. It's possible they may have seen him coming in and out of the vehicle. I don't really know because someone said this to me yesterday. How would they know that that was a Caymanian? I don't know. And I don't know, I'm obviously not in their head. And so I can't assume that they knew. But what I do know is, number one, they probably knew it wasn't a rental. It did not have, obviously, a rental tag on it. And, it's more likely to be a local who's going to have a vehicle like that. So I think that, yeah, this was just completely out of order. But anyway, good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Morning, Sandra.
Morning.
Hope all morning on the listeners and everything. I hope on has read the article about the Monsieur Frederick murder case.
Yeah, we discussed that earlier.
I know, but can I point my opinion on it?
Yeah, sure.
Knowing that I grew up with this boy for the longest time, he's my brother from another mother. I never been so like just so upsetting knowing that you sit down in court and you hear the hearing, you went through everything. But as these sex crimes going on against our children in Cayman, how come they not getting turned into 60 years or a death penalty? But my brother get accused for falsely murdering his uncle, knowing that this man, his uncle, is known theft. There's a known theft and a drug user. And he's being accused by murdering his uncle, knowing that it's somebody else, evidence and DNA on that dead man body.
Well,
it's upsetting that your justice system is failing us. It's upsetting that the court is not realizing these things. Why are sex predators and the pedophiles still running around Cayman, and these children are still living in fear and tantrum, and they are using a Caymanian, a young educated Caymanian that has his degree, his education, went away in England there, Jesus. He went away in England. Working for CUC, he not did commit no crime, no nothing. I hope you're not hearing me on the radio. I hope the politicians hear me because they grew up with him, they saw him, they raised him. What's going on? Why is this bill not being passed? All these children on the road, they're getting sexualized, especially little boys. It's crazy. We need to stop and look at it. We need to stop and look and investigate into this thing, because right now our justice system is failing us, and they are using Caymanians as only an example to just push them further into the ground. They're not rising us up. They're not looking us up nowhere. They're not business goes with a mother going through, what a child going through, that they have to deal with that sex predator. Yet the man comes out in 3 months and then probably go rape another child again.
Yes, my dear. Thank you.
You got to take 30 years to get an appeal. Knowing I sit down in our courtroom, seeing all the evidence do not lead to him. You mean I'm you by 2 DNA to match the Misio? 2 different men that do not match the Misio. It's heartbreaking right now. I want to reopen that case. I want that case to be opened publicly. Everybody needs to see this. Everybody needs to sit down and watch it. They're using a young child. A young child as a prime example. He not did nothing wrong. I put it on God. He not did nothing wrong. I born and raised next to him. He not did nothing wrong. I seen the family problems. He not did nothing wrong.
All right, my dear. Yeah, leave me there, please. All right, darling. At the end of the day, I mean, I appreciate that the listener is obviously very, very upset. What I can say is this: a jury of his peers, you have jury trials, and I'm not saying that they get it right all the time. A jury of his peers actually convicted him. So, what she was saying is he was accused, but he hasn't done anything wrong. Obviously, a jury of at least 10 people, because for murder, you don't have the regular 7, you have more than that. They would have sat down and heard all of the evidence, and they came to a different conclusion. Now, he has a right to appeal, and most of these guys will exercise their right to appeal. So I don't think that he will not appeal. I'm sure he will. And so he will have a right to appeal. And that will be a further set of eyes depending on his grounds for appeal, that will look at the grounds for appeal and determine whether or not, anything will be done. What I will say is two things can be correct at the same time. Okay. So it's possible that the jurors got it right, and the judge obviously is in agreement with the decision of the jurors. Again, I can't have an opinion too strong on this because I didn't sit there and listen to the evidence. But when 10 people heard the evidence and they've come to their own conclusion, that's how the jury system works. And that's why they have more people. So even if one of the 10 disagreed, they could not have found him guilty. They need to have a unanimous decision. And clearly they had a unanimous decision. Now, the points that the caller makes about child molestation, as you guys know, as someone who's been advocating this for really the bulk of the time that I have resided back in the Cayman Islands, I'm in absolute agreement that the sentencing that people are getting is not sufficient enough for those types of egregious wrongs against your children. And so that is a very different conversation. And I think it's a valid conversation that at the end of the day needs some attention. We need to have a sex offenders registry. We need to have more stringent mandated sentences for offenses, especially sexual offenses against our children. So there's no two ways. No, I mean, that's not something that's debatable. So I agree with her. Go talk to your MPs about that because that is very much required. Now, does that mean or does that have anything to do with this other case? Not necessarily. At the end of the day, I think that, his case is separate and apart from what actually happened. The situation as it relates to, the child molestation, that is something that we have to take seriously, regardless of who's being convicted with other things. I hear her point that she thinks that the sentence is unfair. Once you were convicted of murder, 30 years is the starting point. It's only, as I said from the onset of the program, if it's going to be, are they going to increase it or slightly decrease it based on extenuating circumstances? So mitigating works in your favor and aggravating works against you in a court of law. The prosecution argued, obviously, a very strong case. They listed a bunch of aggravating circumstances. A judge only agreed with one of those, and so only added 1 year to the 30 years. It is also very true that someone could be a good person ordinarily and still end up committing a crime. Have good people murdered people before? Yes. I mean, that happens, right? Have bad people been murdered? Yes, that happens. So I don't know anything about Bolo. I didn't personally know him. Really, I know one of the other uncles, Ed, who's named after his dad. He lives overseas. And I know the father to a certain extent. But, I'm not particularly close to his family. I don't know their family business or whatever. Was Bolo into drugs? The court case said that, yes, he'd broken into the sister's house and stolen some stuff. But the solution to that is not to go out there and kill somebody. Let me be very clear. If somebody comes and steals something from you, you don't murder them, you don't strangle them to death. You call the police and you let the police handle it, right? He stole $25,000 worth of stuff, allegedly, because I don't think he was ever convicted of that. So if that is the case, you let the police handle it. You let the police, the courts deal with that situation. That's no excuse. Yes, this man had a bright future ahead of him. This young man, 30 years old, had a very bright future ahead of him. And yet, based on the prosecution's case, they say that he threw all of that away in order to try and settle a score when it came to family disputes over property. And the alleged premeditated element of it is why he's sitting there looking at a murder charge in the first instance and not manslaughter or some other charge, and why he's now gotten 31 years. So, he has the right to appeal. So obviously, I'm sure his family will encourage him to appeal. And I'm 100% sure that he will appeal. And then once the appeal is heard, we'll hear what the appellate court has to say in relation to it. Very few cases are overturned, though, I can tell you that. So we'll see. Ms. Brenda says that you shouldn't be tearing down the victim. The man has been murdered. Have some respect for the dead. Lucky Body says this is so unfortunate, so much potential, and he wasted his life. And he wouldn't be the first person. People have potential and end up doing things, and so it is what it is. Ms. Brenda says caller, he has the right to appeal. And I can imagine that emotions are high here now that he will spend 31 years before he's even eligible for parole behind bars. YouTuber says, caller, that's not racism. Let's stop calling everything racism. They didn't ask him how a black man was able to afford his truck. The truck could have been owned by a white man. It's just disrespect. So I agree, because I don't know that they necessarily knew who the truck owner was, except that he was probably local. I mean, I think there's certain things you can kind of ascertain just using common sense. But again, as I said from Monday, figured they were English. Their son is here working as a lawyer. No doubt they think that makes them somebody special. And so that half-ass apology certainly didn't cut it. 12 jurors for murder and other special capital offenses. Yeah, I was trying to remember if it was 10. I think it's 7 normally. And then they always have a few extras. But you could be right. I'm not going to argue with you, Miss Brenda, on that, because I can't remember 100%. I'd have to look it up. But was the message left because he was a black man? I don't think so, because again, I don't think that they necessarily knew that. But I do think that, they were out of order for what they said. And then their so-called apology letter leaves a lot to be desired. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Morning, Sandy. How are you?
Hey, not bad. How you doing?
I'm okay. Can we switch gears here for a little bit? I'd like to go back to what one of your callers was referring to. I don't think I know it was Brenda on the comments when you put out an article. It may have been yesterday or day before. I'm not sure, where you showed the apology letter, asking if you think that this was an apology. You had over 120 comments, that particular article.
And by the way, let me just say this. Someone did mention to me, obviously, I tell you guys a lot of times I don't get a chance to read the comments. I did go and have a look at some of the comments, but I don't think I've seen everything. So when she was saying that there was someone...
I haven't seen everything, because I was literally quite shocked this morning that you haven't responded, because knowing you definitely would have a response by now. So you definitely haven't read all the comments. And I think that's what Brenda is referring to. However, let me expand. She's correct. It's one of your previous listeners, who I would say is a daily listener. I used to see her name appear up almost every morning. And
well, can we just say who it is? Because obviously
that was my next question. Am I allowed to say
that? Because obviously it's public.
I can tell you exactly who it is. It is Jane Mosley James.
Okay. And what exactly did she say?
It's what she did say. You need to go and look at it. And basically, it's about you and your show.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's very, 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 very disrespectful. And very, very, the comments in it are very disparaging. And very, very, I would have to say, allude to the fact that you are on the same level as TMZ. I was quite shocked.
Let me pause you there for a second. If she compared me to TMZ, I want to thank her, because that is not an insult. TMZ is one of the... This shows you how ignorant people are, because TMZ is one of the biggest... They focus more on celebrity news, but they are one of the biggest media houses in the U.S. And they often get the scoop and breaking news that other media, including all the big boys, have to refer to them and say, according to TMZ. So that is an insult to me, but I'm a little bit surprised to hear.
I say that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the comment to see if I can find it.
I think that you should go back and read that itself. And she said she didn't want any responses. She doesn't need any responses, but I chose to respond.
Yeah, well, you don't get to comment on social media and then tell people that they can't respond to you. That alone shows a mindset.
It's an epistle, okay? But it's very, very, it's about you and Cayman Mart Road and what Cayman Mart Road has become. I tell you, I was really quite taken aback because I said, but this is someone who listens to her show every day. So when did the tables turn? What happened here? And she's always, or used to be, she was always jumping on, having her opinion and what she thought, and, you know, she loves Cayman, blah, 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 the same story that we always hear until something happens to one of their own. Then you really find how much they love Cayman, their true colors show, or as Brenda said, strip them down naked, and then you really find out who they are. You know, no, you haven't read it, and I would suggest that you do. And I'm going to tell you, only give you my opinion, and this is just my humble opinion, because I don't know. Remember the day that you did the story on the Honduran girl?
Which Honduran girl are we talking about?
The Honduran girl. So it was a very recent story, and you interviewed her. She was actually speaking about, having to do the urine test and.
Okay. Where she's alleging that someone,
She was one of the most critical people about the girl's character.
Oh,
she
really?
Had a lot of negativity, and very insulting things to say about her. Right. She was very, very verbal that day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I noticed a switch, a change, after you obviously believed what the girl said. And let me be very honest with you. I was very skeptical at first until I started reading those messages. And when I started reading those messages, I knew then something has happened to this girl. Something went down. The messages are proof right there. And it should never have happened to her. There's no right or wrong about it. I don't care who she is, where she's from, and I don't care about her background. That should never have happened to her. But because you were an advocate, that's the correct word for this girl.
Well, I mean, let me stop you right there, Miss Debbie. I wasn't an advocate for the girl. I was an advocate for getting to the truth. So all I was doing was asking her questions in terms of, and some people will say to you, wow, Sandy, you really put her to the test. Well, I think that in a situation like that, where you're making such an accusation, that is required. So I wasn't advocating for her because I don't swear for nobody, as you well know.
Yeah. So in the end, after listening to her and seeing the messages that she provided for you, it's very obvious that something happened to her and she's very traumatized.
Yeah.
But as you well know, there were a few people on that morning that were very negative about her and her character.
And I think that she stood up to that, and her story seems to have tested.
She did as well.
Yeah.
So this girl was one of those people that was very adamant with her negativity regarding the girl. And I noticed after that, she stopped listening to the show. So I don't know if it's a personal issue or what. But yet, when she commented, as I said, it's an epistle. The Bible wouldn't have more chapters, okay? And it's very negative about you and about CMR. I chose to respond to her. I know that I'm not going to get an answer. But for somebody who loves Cayman so much and has been here such a long time that she likes to say over and over and over again, it just proves to me one more time that when it comes down to it, if you are not Caymanian, you are going to stick with your own. Because in her words, there was no harm done. In other words, let me use some words that my father would have said, then you're making a big hullabaloo out of nothing. But I suggest that you read her comment.
Yeah, someone has just sent it to me. I'm trying to get it where I can actually pull it up on the screen because.
Yes, that's what I responded to her. That's one of the comments that Brenda's responding to, and they stick together. at the end of the day, they stick together. Let me tell you something. I couldn't go to the UK. I could not have done that in the UK, whether it be a black man, a white man, or a red man. I couldn't have gone to the UK and posted that on somebody's car without being arrested, okay? I definitely couldn't have gone to America and done that and posted that. And by the way, this girl is an American, because she talks about it on that episode with the Honduran girl. She went into deep details that she was raped at 19, which that's not anything that I'm saying in a manner to embarrass her or whatever. She said it, and she's an American. I know that much. But I couldn't go to America and post a letter like that on anybody's car, truck, or whatever. You know what would happen to me? I would be deported the next day by ICE. Wrong or right?
Oh, you're lucky. Well, you might be lucky if you got deported. They might have shot you first.
Yeah, or I'd be shot.
Yeah.
Shot or deported. Only here can it happen. And only here does it happen. Okay? And I do disagree. It was due to racism. It is because he's black. And it is because he can afford to live in an upscale community and drive a car, gas guzzling truck. I don't even know what type of truck it is. Because the son lives in the same area.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, I don't know. Like I said,
confirm that earlier on.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know for sure if they saw him. I assumed to some extent, because again, they're visitors, and I understand he parks his truck there all the time, that they probably have seen it on more than one occasion. I mean, they certainly had enough time to sit down and pen that letter, right? So somebody has sent me the screenshot of what Jean actually said, and let me have a read of it here now on air.
Okay.
Thank you so much for bringing it to my attention. Thanks to me. Yeah.
As I said, I responded. I know that that's what Brenda is referring to. And there's a few more on there, but I'll just stick with hers because hers was the most, hers stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yes.
And she no longer listens to your show.
Oh, okay.
What I pick up on is the day after the Honduran girl.
Oh, really? I wonder why that would have insulted her so.
I have no clue. But I know that she was very negative about the Honduran girl. She was one of those people that had so much to say about her. It was almost as if it was a personal, as we would say in South Sound, a personal hard-on that she had, which I don't know that. But you read the comments, like I say, I know you would have addressed it. I know you couldn't have read it because you would have addressed it, because it is about yourself and CMR.
Thank you so much, Colin.
And I did respond, but I think you need to speak about it publicly and respond accordingly. Because, as I told her, obviously, you're not a Caymanian. All right?
Thank you, darling. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
What a heat. Let me have a look. Somebody has sent it to me. Wow. Yeah, and I note with interest that apparently nobody has liked her comment, which I think is kind of interesting. But okay, let's have a look. Says, this is what the post says. Harm caused. In quotations. Honestly, this site has veered distressingly off into the most petty, asinine drama. It's like I'm reading Trump's whining on Truth Social when I read your posts. Please tell me precisely what harm her original letter caused. I'd like an in-depth critical analysis of the harm that ensued once she dropped off the original letter, since you informed us that harm was caused. You know what I believe is causing harm? You deciding that you are both judge and jury regarding every single thing that is done, said, posted online, hell, even parked on this island. Wow. You may have a Facebook channel, but you don't have an accreditation that makes you arbiter of anything going on in the Cayman Islands. The next part of that, hold on one second. Let me put that up here. Yes. Says, I think you need to take a step back and remember that at the end of the day, we all live on an island that you can't even see on a map, including you too. The hubris displayed on Cayman Mall Road of late is the polar opposite of #Caymankind, and is a really bad look to the wider public, including current and potential visitors. Okay. I've been on this island a long time. She put a couple extra O's in there. And every inch of your land may have been sold off, but at least hold on to your dignity. Signed Jean Stern Mosley James. And then she put, these are my feelings, a quick editorial in the comment section. Unconventional indeed, but just missing the focus of the old Mall Road. And I'm not responding to comments. I'm confused. I mean, the first thing I would say is I'm actually confused about what she's even talking about. Was somebody having a few too many drinks? I don't know what, I have no clue what this is all about. The old Mall Road, listen, we just celebrated 9 years here at CMR. And this has been who we have always been. We haven't changed. I don't know if it's you guys that are changing or what's going on out here, but what I can tell you is CMR has not changed. Our focus has always been and will always continue to be, just in case you guys missed the memo, about what happens in this community. This is something that a lot of people, were talking about in the community. A lot of people felt a very particular way about it. And so I don't even understand what she's talking about. This is something that we've always stood for. Whatever is happening in the community at any and all levels is a matter for CMR. That's the whole point of Cayman Mall Road. That's embedded in the name. So I don't know why people think that we have somehow changed. We haven't changed. Maybe some of you have changed in how you see what we do, but what we do is very much, this element of it hasn't changed. I wouldn't say absolutely nothing has changed about the platform. I hope that we're constantly improving and getting better, but I don't know what this is all about. And compare me to Donald Trump. That probably is the most insulting part of this, because all the rest of it is just nonsense. But please don't compare me to that man. That man he goes off on Truth Social with more than enough nonsense. If this was not something that was topical in the community, we wouldn't be talking about it. And to be clear, we were certainly not the only media house in Cayman that had it up, and there was broader discussions about it. I agree. YouTuber says nothing is wrong with TMZ, so thank you for that comparison. I mean, exactly. I think that that's actually a compliment. I don't think comparing me to TMZ is an insult. That's a compliment, but thanks. I'll take it. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to call you straight. I forgot you're still awake.
Yeah, apparently you can, because Flo told me it doesn't cost me anything, which is good. But anyway.
Yeah, listen, as one small fish on a small dot on a small island that nobody can...
And by the way, we do shop on maps now. So if she's saying that we don't shop on maps, maybe she needs to take a geography course.
Well, what I was going to say to you, as a small fish in a small pond on a small island that nobody can find on any map, including you or her.
How the hell they find us then?
Well, that's why I'm just going to say, Sandra, look, this is somebody who know nobody where she come from, and she come, like when you say you're a small fish in a big pond, so she got to come and look for a smaller pond to be big fish. Don't give this no time, don't give this woman no clout, you bigger than this. You bigger than this, and your mission here bigger than this. Leave this, I know it after 9:30, but I don't even want to say the word. Leave her alone. Yeah, don't touch this. All of us know what you're about. The ones who count know who you're about.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
What I will say is this, right? When someone says that someone can take the time, Miss UG, time to get going. Why? We got to get on the road. We got stuff to do. Why? You slept in already. Vacation time is over. Y'all know I won't pop off a few words, but come on, let's go. We're going to go on the road in a little bit. So when people say that no harm was done, I think that this is quite an unfortunate situation, because that means that people believe they can say things, they can put things in writing, they can use your words, and that doesn't have the capacity to create harm. Do you honestly think if this man, who is a Caymanian father, husband, I think, I don't even know if he's married, but I'm assuming he is, he's spending time with his family and trying not to overly focus on this nonsense. If no harm was done, do you actually think that he would have gone to the police station and reported this matter and actually had the police help him locate these individuals and have them show up at the police station to issue a letter? People are not that petty. I mean, well, let me not say that. Some people might be. But when people continue to ask the question about what harm was caused, the harm was never about the piece of paper. It was the mindset behind it. The mindset that someone could come here as a visitor to this country, relatively a complete stranger, look at someone else's legally parked vehicle, decide that it offended their personal standards, took the time to write a note criticizing it, and then left that note on a windshield. This level of entitlement is exactly why so many Caymanians have said that they're sick and tired of it. The point that you probably missed, Jean, and now I'm going to direct this at you, is that as welcoming as Cayman is, and I am one of the most welcoming and open-armed people, and one of the main reasons I say that this show is so incredibly important is it allows people, all people, Caymanians, expats, Jamaicans, English people, if they wish to, Americans, to have a voice, to be part of an ongoing discourse in this community, right? Because while you guys are hyper-focused on Caymankind, we're hyper-focused on the reality that more and more in this country, we are minority in our own country, and we are being constantly marginalized by people. And when that happens, when only the expats feels like they have a voice, they're entitled, they're the ones who can leave note on people's vehicles, right? And they come with this nasty attitude. Let me help you with it. Let me help you with your hairnet. Come. Okay, come. I'm going to help you. What I will say to them is they don't understand the damage that they are actually causing in the community, right? And the alternative is for us to have no platform like CMR where people can voice their opinions, where they can be honest about exactly how expats continue to insult them, continue to marginalize Caymanians. And one of these days, one of our Caymanians is going to take that out on you guys. And it's like you're so, it's shocking to me that you're so oblivious to the change of the temperature here in Cayman, right? I'm not here increasing the temperature. I'm giving people an outlet to try to keep things as cool as possible. And if you do not see that, then you're a very ignorant person. That's all I can say. So no harm was done. We look at this so-called apology letter where essentially the person says, I was thinking only of my grandchildren, which are not even Caymanian grandchildren, right? Not your feelings. So in other words, she admits that she was even thinking about the owner of the vehicle at all. So for many people, not everyone, some people had varying opinions, but for many people, this apology was definitely incomplete. An apology isn't just about explaining why you did something. It's acknowledging the impact that it had on the other person. And in this so-called half-ass apology, as we would say, that never occurred, right? So whether you think this story is trivial or significant, the public conversation has never really been about the size of the vehicle. It's about respect. It's about boundaries and whether visitors or anyone else, right, should feel entitled to lecture a Caymanian or even a resident about how they choose to live their lives, given that this is completely legal. This man was not doing anything illegal. So yes, when I post up people, and I'm going to post one this morning, who parked in a blue spot, they deserved to be highlighted because that's actually against the law. That is harming people, right? So I don't know, you can feel free to disagree, with CMR's coverage. That part of living in a democracy is amazing. But the overwhelming response that we've received on this topic certainly shows that there are many Caymanians and expats as well who see this incident as symbolic of a much bigger conversation that is taking place in this community. And that's exactly why it became a story. And if you missed that, then all the bigly words in the world isn't going to help you. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra.
Hi, morning.
Good morning to everyone. As a Caymanian, I don't know how to phrase it, to be honest with you, regarding that incident with those people. But as we can see, they are very racist. And I'm going to get clear now. In my opinion, I would really like to know who the officer was that was interviewing them, because they seem like they had the same mindset about us as the people that wrote the letter. And I mean, for her to leave as a visitor, to leave and go to that man's car and write this letter and leave it, and her husband then turned around and couldn't put it on there. She had to go and put it. Obviously, they were both of them. And like the other talk shows said, it obviously shows that it wasn't her. If you look at two handwritings, it wasn't her that wrote the first letter. It was him. But to make the police to accept that he kept his mouth shut and had nothing to say, obviously shows that he didn't apologize for what we done. So in my opinion, a case should be made out to set an example, because it is ridiculous for them to come down. If I lived in England for 6 months, and I can tell you what it showed, if they had done that to an Englishman car in England, they would probably be behind bars to the fullest extent, because they're very, very racist. They're very, very racist. That's my opinion. So I think the boy that accepted it, that was put in his car, he got more strong than me. And like, they're not, those people that put that on their car, not showing mankind to us at all. So they're making us know they're not very kind to us. So anybody that feels like we shouldn't be offended, they can all catch the flight and go back to the CP, as far as I'm concerned. Because we don't need them here too.
Oh, what a mess, my dear. All right. I'm just sending a quick message here to this company. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't, the more I sit in this space, the more I can tell you, I'm not surprised by people. People switch up all the time on you. I'm not, I mean, yes, you used to listen to the program. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention that day to all the comments. Obviously, I didn't see her comments. As Miss Debbie said, that day she seemed upset. I don't really know what any of that is all about. I've always had a very cordial relationship with her, even in terms of being on WhatsApp. She's has messaged me over time, herself reporting people that she thought was doing something wrong. So I mean, I have no clue what this is all about. I don't know what's going on here. It's I did reach out to her on WhatsApp, because again, this is someone, she says, I apologize if you found my remarks to be disparaging. Y'all need a course in y'all need a course on how to do an apology. The apology isn't about whether or not someone found it offensive. And that's when, when people start down that line, that's when that obviously they have an issue with something else. But listen, I can't take her on. I don't know what is going on with Jean. I mean, the funny thing is, she has sent stuff to me, and this is where I'm confused by her comment. And I'm not trying to throw her under the bus, but she sent stuff to me about how people are dressed in the community, dressed appropriately and whatever. And oh my God, can you believe that they're dressed like this? So if I go and post that up, that would be okay because you sent it to me. But if other people did it, it's a problem. I don't even understand. Sometimes you gotta maybe recognize that something is not even about you. So I don't even know what Jean's talking about. So from that perspective, maybe this is less about me and more about her. And maybe something she's going through, maybe she's upset in her feelings. I don't know if she knew the Spanish girl from that day, and this is more about that story. I have no clue. And so I can't take it on. I don't have any intentions of responding to her. Other than what I've said this morning, I'm not going to put fingers to keyboard and respond. Nobody even liked her comment. Honestly, my daughter's in the shower. So can I just tell you that I don't even give a fuck? Can I just say that? Like where did I put the phone? Oh, hold on, honey child. Sometimes you just gotta let them let people demonstrate who they are and let them. But I appreciate you guys bringing it to my attention. And I think what is surprising, and I guess why you guys are shocked, is because a lot of you are like, oh, but this isn't who she's been in the past. So it's different when you see someone all of a sudden switch up on you. But let me tell you something about people. They have a knack for switching up on you. Now, I don't swear for nobody. And I keep in my little circle of friends. And I tell y'all I don't need no new friends because, boy, switching is something that people do with a great degree of skill. Good morning, caller.
Good morning again, Sandra. I don't like calling twice, but I would like to say that I think one of the things that's been missed in the original note is that they attacked this man's genitalia. Okay? You want to criticize his vehicle? That was bad enough. Why did you have to go there?
Yeah, it was too much of an insult when it was not necessary.
And for those that don't know, I keep saying, please read, know your history, and you'll understand why people do these things. And to your listeners and callers that think this was not an act of racism, well, if you want to continue to live like the ostrich, please feel free to, but don't expect people like me to join you. That is what has empowered these people. That's why they come here and they think they can do as they please to whomever, and there are no consequences because too many of our Caymanians, unfortunately, have lived their lives brown nosing and, let me say it straight up, kissing white ass, okay? And all that does is they boil all of us in the same pot and think that, oh, they can do the same with all of us. Well, I have a news flash. They don't like us. They don't respect us. And I don't care how many times you sit and dine with them or you have with them. They don't like you. You don't belong. They're using you for their purpose. They're all Caymanians when they need something from a Caymanian. But when something happens, like Hurricane Ivan, they pile up at the airport and they're going home. We are home. We are already home. You are a paper holder. I'm going to repeat myself. That does not make you a Caymanian. And if you don't like us, the Caymanians, you don't like our island that you can't find on the map, well, then I'll say, if you couldn't find us on the map, why the hell do we have so many of you here? How did you find your way here?
Even
well,
that.
take that same map you couldn't find, and please find your way out.
Even that comment, to be honest,
realize the force that came with that letter that they put on that man's car. And I never heard that he accepted the apology. And I know
he didn't because what
an apology. And when you are going to apologize for a wrong, you do not try to justify your actions. That is why I say you shouldn't have to apologize for the same thing twice.
And the thing about it, Miss Brenda, is what I understand has transpired here is that the husband wrote the initial letter insulting. He has refused. This is what I understand is going on. He has actually refused to apologize. So his wife now, I guess, to placate the situation, she's the one who has written the apology letter, and that's why she signed it with her name, Catherine. And that is, he's never actually apologized. So the one who did the offending behavior to begin with, although I guess it represents both of them, since she was the one trying to put the letter.
Conspirators in the matter.
Yeah, so she was trying to put the letter on there, right?
To put it on the vehicle, and for some reason she didn't, and then he did it. So if that in itself showed their intent.
Yeah.
And if they want to apologize, then come publicly, take their hats off, show their faces, and apologize to the man to see where they could publicly try to insult him in his own country.
Yeah, and it just reminds us.
Too many.
Yeah, and it reminds us of
that thinks this was just okay. I would ask you to please take some time, go and read your history, learn your history. This is the behavior of the slaves and the masters. We are nobody's slaves, and we're certainly not their slaves. I am a Caymanian, and I will never accept that type of behavior towards me or any other Caymanian, even if they are fool enough to accept it. Sandra, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I think the other thing to note here, right, is, we have people who live among us, and they say that, Gabby says, give her kaboom. I don't have my regular kaboom button, but, they have people who are living amongst us, and they think that they know and they understand everything about Cayman. And I know some of them, they've been here a very long time because they're married to Caymanians. They'll be like, oh, my husband's a Caymanian. Well, your husband being a Caymanian doesn't make you a Caymanian. Even if you have it by status, there's still a lot, I think. I think that's going to be really hot, Gigi. You're going to be hot with those on? Think about that outfit. I think that, your husband being jeans right there and right there. No, that one isn't. So when people make comments and they believe that they may understand a lot of the elements of life in Cayman, but there's still things that unless you have been born and raised up as a Caymanian in a Caymanian family, that you probably are just not going to understand, and this isn't meant to make people who've acquired status feel a way about it, but this is just the realities of our lives. So, that's like me saying, oh, I'm married to Jamaican, so therefore I'm a Jamaican, or understand how Jamaicans feel, or how. No. I mean, I might have certainly everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I think some people think that being adjacent to makes you equal to, and that's not the same thing. So even Jean is entitled to her opinion. That's the beauty of us living in a democracy, as I've just said. But when she makes comments, for example, like, an island that can't even be found on the map. Well, there was a time that we couldn't be found in the map, but that's no longer the case. We're on all maps, by the way. But that's a low-key insult. Like, what would be the reason for you saying something like that? I don't know that I understand why you would even make that comment about, oh, your country can't be found on a map. And we're all here. Thank God she got downstairs. If we couldn't be found on a map, how the fuck did you get here? How did you find us? You know what I'm saying? It's insulting when you say things like this. And all you're doing is, listen, Miss Brenda wasn't the first person to bring this comment to my attention this morning. Debbie wasn't the first person. Somebody was messaging me from yesterday, and they were like, well, what's wrong with this woman, Jean? I'm like, Jean? I don't even know. And I don't have the time or energy or resources to try to be y'all's therapist and find out why you seem to have moments of losing your blood clot mind. I really, really don't. What the hell? Good morning, caller.
Yeah, well, I just heard your last comment. I just couldn't help myself, so I have one more thing to say. What is it she said? a little dot on the map that nobody can find, if I'm correct. I'm not looking at it verbatim. But that little dot on the map seems to have brought a lot of riffraff to this island. They seem to find it very quickly, and they remain. Now, after having said that, I'm going to have to disagree with you on one point that you made referring to Jane. You said you don't know what switched her up. Sandra, she never switched up. She's never switched up. What she's doing is showing who she is and where she stands and her true colors. Okay? It's not on a Jane that commented and had that they were basically in favor, not in favor, but they didn't think any harm had been done. Everyone that commented and said this isn't a big deal, get past it, get over it, accept the apology, blah, 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 cry me a river. Everyone that did so is a non-Caymanian.
Except for hold on.
Because
there's
like Brenda,
one,
and I'm going to give them the courtesy of calling them a Caymanian.
There's one I saw that
Every single one of them. They show you who they are, and when shit hits the fan, they're going to take up for their own.
Yeah,
okay?
Except for isn't Mitzi a Caymanian? But she's always defending Larry and Linda and all these people. Isn't she Caymanian?
She's defending Larry and Linda 24/7. I don't know who Mitzi is. I'm assuming she's a Caymanian. I don't know her personally. I've taken her on before, but she did, and she also defends Morna Bates as well. She's a big defender of him, whom I've had a lot of interventions with. I don't know why she defends him. I don't have a clue, but I'm assuming she's a Caymanian. But I'll take her on. I took Jane on because I responded to her. I highlighted your name, and I just want you to know that you're wrong when you say she switched up. She didn't switch up. She showed who she was. When you show me who you are, I will believe you. When it affects one of their kind, then they're going to stand very strongly together. And we, as a minority in our country, we need to stand up to them and not be fooled by the bullshit, the racism, and as Brenda talked about, the colonialism, slaves, and the masters. I, for one, don't subscribe to it, and I never will. And it was about racism. It was about racism. Her son lives in that community. Apparently, he's a lawyer. Soka confirmed that he is a lawyer. So they had seen him get in and out of his truck on many occasions. And again, as Brenda said, why attack his privates? Are you jealous? Is there a problem with yours? It was totally unnecessary, and it's past insulting. And I will end it with this, because Jane is an American. If I were to go to good old America, and I had done that to anybody in America, and I was caught on CCTV, I will tell you right now that you would be reporting that Deborah Susan Ebanks had either been shot in the chest or was sitting in Gatorland. I don't even know if that still exists, in an ICE detention center, waiting to be deported. Only here in the Cayman Islands can this shit happen. And the majority of people that responded that thought it was not a big deal are, at the end of the day, they're expats. Okay? Paper Caymanians. I'm not even going to give them that privilege. They're status holders. I'm so done. I'm like, so done. But her comment really triggered me and caught my eye. But she said she wasn't responding, but I'm pretty sure she read my comment, and I hope she's listening today. And I hope she doesn't decide to take me on, because that's going to be, that's going to be a good day. But anyway, I had to correct you on that she switched up. She never switched up. She just showed you who she really is.
So sad.
Okay.
Thank you, caller. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, my dear. What a hot mess. Wow. Well, when they show you who they are, let them. That's the best thing you can do. Can't even be. I've gotten to the stage in my life where you can't even be disappointed anymore. Really and truly. What a hot mess. Lord have mercy. Wow. Okay. Well, we keep it moving. The other thing that I chuckle at with these people is when they try to Thank you. Sarah says, I wonder how they would have responded if the same thing had happened to them. When they, people love to come, and this is one of the reasons, this is the only reason really that I'm even doing this journalism program 3-4 years out of my life to get a degree so y'all can literally shut the fuck up. When you talk about, oh, you don't have any accreditation. Listen, I have more pieces of paper. Now I'm talking to the expat community, not my own Caymanians here, but even my own Caymanians who claim this, because we saw that fool the other day on TikTok. He deleted his video, by the way, drunken fool. But she's not a journalist. Call me whatever the hell you want. But when it comes to pieces of paper, don't talk to me. Okay? I have more accreditation than many of you will ever have in your entire lives. When I get the journalist one, and I continue to do how I've always done it, because this isn't about trying to follow a model of journalism that has predated my life, right? And that you guys get used to. This is not CNN. This is not Fox News. This isn't a traditional news media at all. We have done things differently. And that is what has pushed us in the realm of being Cayman's number one news source. There's a reason why people go to our platform. And it's not, as I've said from day one, it is not for everyone. And that's fine. You don't have to follow the platform. You don't have to read it. In fact, you can block a page if you feel that perturbed about what it is that we do, right? If you don't like us, the block button is there. Utilize it. That is exactly what I would recommend. But y'all need to stop trying to ride up on me about my accreditations, which again is also an insult. How many of you come to our shores with barely a pot to piss in and you have no accreditations yourself, and yet we make y'all some of the top real estate agents, we put you in all kind of positions, you're competing with Caymanians for jobs left, right, and center, and we need to be looking at your fraudulent accreditations. And even when you do have accreditation, some of y'all don't have one lick of common sense. So stop trying to insult people, because you're trying, but you're not really insulting me, but I'm going to tell you nonetheless. Stop trying to insult people talking nonsense about accreditations. There are literally people who have ran successful businesses all over the world, become multi-millionaires, right? And could run circles around you any day of the week in the world of business. And they don't have an accreditation to their name, because that piece of paper don't mean jack shit. You don't know in the real world how to operate. Now, you mightn't like CMR, but what you cannot deny is that we have an enormous following, that we bring you news that nobody else brings you in this country, that we tackle issues that nobody else tackles and brings you in this country, right? Interviews. So yes, we wanted to speak to that young lady. She had made a serious allegation. It was circulating all over social media. We wanted to hear about it. If the fact that we gave her an opportunity to come on and to tell her story, and not just tell her story, but some very serious questions to her about what she's up to, et cetera, if that bothered you that much, that someone has that freedom in this country to be able to speak, I am just flabbergasted, by the fact that you guys actually get in your feelings about this sort of thing. I don't understand it. And I guess I'll never understand it. But you know what? Y'all will be fine. Y'all will be okay. The sun will rise again tomorrow. It's going to set tonight and it's going to rise again tomorrow. And I know I'm fine. I don't worry about none of y'all. I'll be just fine. Praise the Lord and hallelujah. And I'm making y'all stress me out. What a hot mess. Anyway, on that note, the rest of the weekend is mine to enjoy. I'm going to go to Steakhouse tonight and get some nice steakhouse bread and butter that I'm in love with. I'm going to enjoy myself. I am going to encourage all of you to have a safe weekend. Try not to run into any accidents. Don't write anybody any notes accusing them of being a dick and other things, because you don't even know people. So be mindful of what you're saying to people, because once again, only in Cayman do you get the courtesy of someone going to the police station and only ask you for an apology. In other places, that would have ended very, very differently. All right. And Sunday is my daughter's birthday. She's now going to be entering the double digits. So we'll be spending some family time. There'll be no show on Monday because I'll be traveling back home and I'm going to sleep in that day and enjoy myself. And so I will see you guys back on Tuesday morning. What John LaRue says, I love these tough as nails K-maniac chicks who love to say, if they come for me, look out now. Such BS. I don't know who you're referring to, but okay. Ms. Brenda says accreditation means nothing if you don't have common sense. Then they're all useless, wasted your time. However, common sense isn't so common nowadays. It is certainly a commodity that a lot of people appear to be lacking. And on that note, CMR will continue to do what we do and continue to have the number one talk show, number one source for news, blah, 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 get exclusive interviews that nobody else can get, and y'all will be just fine. Okay, honey child? Okay. That's all I got to say. Oh, thank you for the birthday greetings. I will certainly let her know. She's always wanting something squishy for her birthday. Oh my God, these kids love slime and all this stuff that is so ugh. Anyway, I'll order her a few little items for her birthday, but Lord have mercy. She is just so funny. Such a kind-hearted child as well. And I feel like we've certainly done something right with her, just being so kind and so lovely. So I tell her, I try to get her not everything she wants, but sometimes she wants certain things. I go out of my way to, get those for her, because at the end of the day, she's a good kid. And I just tell her the only job you have, honey child, is to focus on your schoolwork and to try to, that's the only job really, is just try to make sure that you pay attention in school and you're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing when it comes to your schoolwork, you're studying, and I give her the support, obviously, that she needs in that regard. Kids will be kids. And that's what it is. But I can't believe she's going to be 10 already. Oh my God. That is wild. So we'll be back. And then my birthday's coming up on the 19th, or the 18th rather. Oops. Almost got my own birthday wrong. So I'm coming up on the 18th, which is over another week. So we'll do a little bit of celebrating when my birthday rolls around. That'll be a week from next Tuesday. Will be my birthday. So yeah. All right. See you guys on Tuesday. Appreciate it. She's not a kid. She's your child. Yep, Sunny Child. Very much so. Thank you so much, Miss Sonia, sending greetings from the Cayman Turtle Center. Oh, we need to come and visit you. She enjoys coming to the Turtle Center. We'll have to make a visit before summer's out because she loves to get into the water. But thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back on Tuesday morning. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.